Psychologists are saying that there are 6 basic human emotions that we experience. The first is happiness. We all desire to be in a constant state of happiness. When the dopamine is being secreted in the brain, that feeling of euphoria. It cannot be a continuous state. It comes and it goes. The second is a state of sadness. This is when something happens. Loss of life, loss of property, injury, sickness. It creates a state of sadness. When sadness becomes prolonged, it becomes a problem. That's when people resort to alcohol, drugs. So sadness is part of life, but you ought to deal with it and then carry on. Then the next human emotion that we experience is fear. It is human nature to fear. That's where the fight or flight state comes, that man is either ready to fight or he flights. You run away, you see another day. Not necessarily. So fear is something that is real. We have fears, different types of fears. Then surprise. The fourth one is surprise, where something catches you by out of the norm. You walk into the car and someone pops out from behind the trees. You give me a fright. I was surprised by your presence. The fifth one is disgust. So disgust is the mechanism which we have within us to protect us from things like, blood, rot, filth, diseases, things that are unhygienic, things that are inappropriate. And the sixth one is anger. Anger is a human emotion that is very intense, and it's usually at someone or something. And there are times when it is self-directed. Person has such disappointment and anger at themselves. Now, anger is a very, very, strong human emotion, and it is innate. It is part of us. It is part of who we are. And anger, the reality is, it does not solve anything. It does not build anything, but it can destroy everything. In a few moments, a relationship that took a lifetime to build could be destroyed with an outburst of anger. There are many times that divorce is issued in a state of anger. Someone phoned me, Mufti, I gave 3 talaqs. Why you gave 3 talaqs? I was very angry. So who gives talaq when they're happy? So, unbridled anger leads to that firing of the 3 irretractable bullets. Sayyidina Ali bin Hussein, the great-grandson of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said that أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ الْأَبْ مِنَ الْغَضَبِ مِنْ غَضَبِ اللَّهِ إِذَا غَضِبَ. The closest a person is to the anger of Allah when he's angry. And sometimes we think, you need to get angry here at work when you walk in as the boss, just to keep people in check. But when you're angry, that is the closest that you are to Allah the furthest from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah said that if you had to ask me what is good character, I could give you various definitions of good character. But to sum it up in a very comprehensive definition, then I would say it is tarkul ghadab. Not having uncontrolled anger. That is the essence of it. So, in a narration it comes that you get 4 types of people. The first one is a person who is the worst. Sari'ul ghadab, bati'ul fay. The person gets angry very quickly. And it takes him very long to come right, to normalize, to recalibrate, to come to his normal state again. So he's the worst of people. Every few minutes he's getting angry and then he's constantly in an angry state. The second person is the one who gets angry quickly and in a few moments, it's over, man. Don't worry. It's a small thing. And he carries. So he gets angry quickly and he gets over his anger quickly. So that is the second type of person. The third type of person is a person who it takes him long to get angry and it takes him long to come right. So it takes him long to get angry and it takes him long to come right. So this type of person, He has a good side. It takes him long to get angry. But eventually when he gets angry, then you're going to run for the mountains. All hell breaks loose. So that is the third type. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said the fourth type is the person who it takes him long to get angry. And after he gets angry, it very quickly he normalizes. He is back to his normal state. So that is the best type of person. Person who takes him long to get angry, and when he gets angry, he normalizes in a short while. And that is the state that we ought to endeavor for. The fact is that when a person is angry, then his mind is muddled. He is no longer holding the steering of his mind. It's almost like an intoxication that has engulfed him. And he doesn't see clear. And they say that speak when you're angry, and you'll give the speech that you'll regret the most. So we're living at times where people seem to be constantly on the verge of exploding. Every minute you're just saying something, doing something, and the person is snapping. So there are various reasons why this could be the case. Financial times, it is difficult financial times. People are under pressure, meeting the bills, having to take care of various responsibilities. That may be one. Another, maybe people feel they're overworked, or sometimes we have too high expectations with regards to the dunya. That we want to try and get to a certain level. We're constantly working towards that. We lack our work-life balance. That we don't take our time to, just take a walk, read a book, enjoy a cup of tea with the family, and slow down. So life has become, in many ways, very fast-paced. Demands and responsibilities. We're constantly feeling under pressure for that. So we seem to become angry people, constantly angry. And the smallest provocation, the smallest stimulus, then brings out such a wrath of anger that is disproportionate to what was done, that you see a person going in absolute rage. And in worst case scenarios, there's been situations where someone cuts another person on the highway. He gives a gesture with his finger. He thinks, who are you to do that? Stop, and we show each other who's who here. And one shoots the other one dead. And it's just because of being this constant state of on the verge of explosion. So what happens when we're angry? When we're angry, there's a rush of blood in the blood vessels. So blood pressure increases, the heart rate increases. If you're just angry and then you try to go sleep, you'll toss and turn. Insomnia. It may give you a headache, depression. You can't think straight. There's a cloud of, a fog over your mind. And the ability to just reason and think clearly is lost. You feel that you're not in your normal state. And the reality is that anger is such that the poet says that jarahatul lisan lihal iltimayam wala iltiyama lima jarahal lisan. Jarahat as-sayfi lihal iltiyam. So when there's an injury with a sword, it may heal, but the injury is caused by the tongue. That remains. Jismuhu saghir wa jurmuhu kabir. That the tongue, it is that part of the body, there's no bone in it. It's small in size, yet the crimes and the effect of it is very intense. When Sayyidina Muaz radiallahu anhu asked Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that what will cause people to be taken to Jahannam, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, وَهَلْ يُكَبُّ النَّاسُ عَلَى مَنَاخِرِهِمْ, that people will be thrown headlong into Jahannam because of the harvest of their tongues. On one occasion, the great-grandson of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Zayn al-Abidin rahimahumullah, was making wudu, and his slave girl was pouring the water for him. And as she was holding the jug in her hand, she became inattentive and she dropped the jug on him and hurt him. So he became angry because obviously it was her negligence. And at that moment she read the verse and said, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. Allah says that the believers are those who suppress their anger. So he says, I've suppressed my anger. And then the verse continues, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, and those who forgive people. That now I've done you wrong, you suppress your anger, but forgive. So he says, now I've forgiven you. Then she read the last part of the verse, وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and Allah loves those who do ihsan, who do good, who excel in doing goodness. So he then says to this girl, the slave girl, that I have freed you for the sake of Allah. I freed you for the sake of Allah. So what was a negative situation outwardly turned into a positive situation where this girl had attained her freedom. So they say, we need to obviously gain control between what is the stimulus and what is our response. He was rude to me, so I smacked him. He was rude to me, so I chose to smack him. There's a choice in your action. It's not automatic. Maybe it became automatic because of your creating that neural path of always acting in this way. But there is a break state between that, where you have to learn to, at will, choose your behavior. You need to isolate the stimulus and choose how you're going to respond to it. And therefore, our great scholars of the past had mastered their emotions, their impulses. Sayyidina Ali is in the battlefield. He has the person down. He's about to chop off his neck. And the person spits in his face. What does Sayyidina Ali do? Chop off his neck now 2 times to get him back. He retracts. And he walks away and he goes to the next person and he starts his single combat. The man is stunned. As a last desperation, just to get some anger out, he spat in his face. So he's stunned. He goes and he asks, but why didn't you kill me? You had full control. So Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu says that I was fighting for Allah's sake. I wanted to kill you for Allah's sake. When you spat, it angered me. I felt disgusted. And at that moment, I felt that impulse of hatred in me for you. And I knew if I killed you at that time, I wasn't killing you for Allah's sake. I was killing you for my own nafs. Therefore, I did not kill you at that moment. Not acting on your impulse. Gaining control of the impulse. That is what is desired. That we're able to have that level of control. And they say on the lighter side, that if the person who makes you angry is someone who's your junior, then count till 10 and then respond. If the person who makes you angry is your equal, count till 20 and then respond. If the person who makes you angry is your senior, your boss, or someone in a higher position, count till 50 and then respond. And if the person who made you angry is your wife, keep counting and don't respond. Because if you respond, remember that that's the beginning of a new argument after that. So what we need to learn is that, how do we respond? So we need to develop a break state between the stimulus, what has happened, and how we respond. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us about that. He said, if you're standing and someone makes you angry, what should you do? Sit down. If you're sitting, lie down. Perform wudu. Drink some water. What is this? It's a break state. That you're breaking away from that, you're not responding to it. There was someone who was extremely red with anger. He was bursting with anger. And the Prophet ﷺ saw him and he said to those around that, I know a kalima, a statement. If he says this, then all that he's experiencing will be taken away. That anger is from shaitan, and shaitan is made from fire. What he needs to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek protection with Allah from shaitan, the accursed. And that will be a means of the removal of his anger. So, the anger is a reality. It's a human tendency. We need to master our emotions. We need to learn to master it in the sense that to remove anger entirely is not possible. There are times when a person should get angry, and they should be, for the purposes of different circumstances. When you're in a battlefield, when you need to fight the enemy, there needs to be a degree of anger in you. Then you can able to muster the courage to respond. So similarly, there's moments, Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, "Man lam yaghdab fahuwa himarun." The man who never gets angry is a donkey. So you must get angry. And that is why Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu said that I'm impressed with a man that when he's with his family, he's like a child. It's on their level. وَإِذَا تُلِبَ مِنْهُ. But if the need is there, then you'll find him to be a man. Meaning that if there's a need to discipline someone in the home, if there's a need to implement the law of Allah, then he is, has that capacity to then respond to the demand of the moment. So that is what is required from us. May Allah Rabbul Izzah give us the ability to control our impulses. May Allah save us from anger. May Allah make us from those who maintain a level of composure under all circumstances.